saw this comment on I don't know what it was a comment on. I don't know, something online. And the person had just said, "You about dumb as shit." It was the funniest thing ever, and I say it all the time now.
Dumb as shit.
I say it all the time. Like, anytime something happens, I'm like, "You about dumb as shit."
Sounds like something my dad would say. Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan in the restricted section.
Today we're doing the Pokemon Go book tag.
Yes, and we were tagged by Ben Sanders.
And who did the original tag? I can't remember her name.
But we'll post her
But we'll put her video below.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know shit about Pokemon.
Not fuck all.
So, let's do this.
But we're doing it anyway.
And my beer
is foaming. It's a beer
speaking
cano.
of, we're drinking Bean Flicker
from Oddside Ales. This is part of a variety pack that I got when I went up to my home and native land of Michigan. And it's a variety pack of Michigan craft beers. So this was in it. And this is a blonde ale with coffee.
And mine will not stop foaming up and out.
No. Well, oh, I think it's done. Is it done?
Maybe. I don't know. It's getting close.
Oh, no, here it comes. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
Get ready.
Slowest volcano. Actually, it's probably pretty fast for a volcano.
It's a really lazy volcano. It's like, yeah, well, I'll get there.
Why are you doing this to me?
Beer cano.
Why is it doing this?
It's like a volcano. Like a beer cano. Mine's not doing that. Well, mine is like foamy, but it's not coming out.
Okay, shall we begin?
Yes.
The first Pokemon is Caterpie?
Caterpie?
I don't even know how to say it.
Caterpie? We don't know.
I don't know. It's a practically useless and forgotten Pokemon.
So what's a book you've read that had little or no impact on you?
I chose the book Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. The author is the founder of Nasty Gal, which is a clothing company.
All right.
And I don't know, I heard a lot of like beauty gurus talk about this one and how great it was.
Excuse me.
Because they all, you know, probably get sent free Nasty Gal clothes.
Probably. Yeah.
But yeah, I read it and it was just like, it was just meh. It was her being like, yeah, I used to steal shit and then sell it on eBay, and then it turned into Nasty Gal. Like,
all
good
right.
for fucking you.
That's great. You know, work ethic.
Also, if it hadn't been for like, there was like whole pages before each chapter that were just like a cover page and the font was huge. I'm like, if this was just a normal formatted, like a normal book, it probably would have been like 50 pages long. So it was just like
an essay.
Yeah. And now they're apparently adapting it into a show for Netflix. I'm like, how the fuck, what?
How are they going to use that little material to make a show?
I don't know. I was unimpressed.
I said Fight Club for this one. I've mentioned this before. I was pretty unimpressed with Fight Club. I didn't dislike it, but it did not wow me. It was not life-changing. It was just kind of...
I like your sparkly lipstick. I didn't notice that it sparkled.
It's called Sad Girl.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, it's this one actually. Oh. By Anastasia
Beverly Hills. I've never tried their lipsticks. They're expensive.
Yeah, I like the...
cheap.
So, well,
actually,
so am I.
I buy some, I bought some lipsticks that were fairly expensive. Next is Squirtle, a humble little guy that evolves into a badass.
What is a book that you started reading and thought, meh, but you kept going and it turned out to be awesome?
For this I chose, which the question was supposed to be series, but we don't like.
Yeah, we don't.
If a series starts out meh, I'm not gonna keep reading it. So
ain't nobody got time for that shit.
So I chose a book the book Let Me In or Let the Right One In, whichever title you wish to use.
Right. It's
By
up to you.
John Ajvide Lindqvist.
He's Swedish.
Yes, Swedish name. I don't know. But for me, the first half of this book was really slow and it took me a long time to get through it. I think it was because I had already seen both the Swedish and the American films already, and the first half of the book, like the film does not deviate from the first half really at all. So the first half was just kind of boring because I already knew everything.
You already know what's going to happen.
But then the second half I flew through because it got different and also really good.
That's awesome. I haven't seen either movie, and I'm reading that one right now, and I didn't find it to be slow, but I had no idea what was going to happen. So it probably was that you saw the movies.
Yeah.
But I said Homeland by R.A. Salvatore, and this book didn't really start out meh, but I was kind of like, before I started reading it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to love this. I think, it'll probably be okay, but, I wasn't sure that I was going to love it. And I read it, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It's a D&D book about that world and about a dark elf. Thought it was cool.
Next is Jinx, an odd or confronting, almost embarrassing Pokemon.
What's a book that you wouldn't read in public because of the cover?
I didn't really have a specific answer for this. I don't think I have any books that the cover embarrasses me of. I'm not that easy to embarrass.
Yeah.
In that manner. But I said probably a lot of like romance novels.
Okay.
If they have like, half-clothed people embracing
looking
on the
motherfuckers
front,
on there, yeah.
I might be a little embarrassed to read that in public, but I don't know.
Yeah, I had a hard time with that one too, because I'm like, really, I don't care what people think of what I'm reading. But I said 50 Shades of Grey because I did read that on my Kindle, because I was a little bit embarrassed that I read that. But I wanted to see what the hype was about, and I also wanted to be able to make fun of it well. And now I can.
That's why I was like, oh man, maybe I should read them just so when I say they're awful, I can have hard evidence to back it up.
And I do have hard evidence. I don't feel like that's really come up a lot in my life, though. I don't think I've ever really had to prove to anyone how god-awful the Twilight book, or those two, but the 50 Shades of Grey books are. People know.
Fair point.
So,
Alright, next is Meowth.
Meowth.
I gotta be honest, of all of these, I've only heard of like 4 of them, I think.
Of all these
Pokemon.
Your Pokemons? Pokemons.
I've heard of Squirtle.
Me too.
And Pikachu.
Yeah.
And
I've heard of Charmander.
And Bulbasaur. And that's it.
Yeah, I think that's samey for me.
Okay.
Alright.
Anyway, Meowth.
Meowth.
An annoying Pokemon that talks way too much.
What is a book that has way too much unnecessary dialogue?
I chose Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I'm not sure that it really had too much or unnecessary dialogue, but the dialogue was confusing to me because everything the narrator says is in quotations all the time. And then it gets really confusing. Like, his use of quotations was confusing to me. And sometimes I didn't know who was speaking when he was speaking to someone.
That's irritating.
That's why I chose that one.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I said Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton just because that book had really bad dialogue.
It was awful.
It was really bad. It was just awkward and stilted, and I feel like some of it was unnecessary because it's like, do we really need to be having this conversation, Michael Crichton? Is there no other literary device you could use to convey this information? No? Cool. It's fine. So yeah, bad dialogue.
Next is Abra, a telekinetic and spiritual Pokemon.
What book changed your life or had a strong impact on your life?
I chose the book We Die Alone by David Howarth. This was a nonfiction book about a man who goes into Norway this is during World War II, goes into Norway to help train the people there in combat against the Nazis, but their ship gets spotted and attacked, and he's the only survivor, and then the rest of the book he's trying to make his way through Norway and into Sweden, where he will be safer. And it was just really, the lesson of the book is that, you know, had he been alone, he would have died, but there was so many people that helped him along the way that were risking their lives to help this man they didn't even know. And so, I don't know, it had a really big impact on me, and also that's kind of something that I always struggle with, is like asking for help when you need it. I'm very much of like, I can do this on my own. I want to do this myself.
Right.
But yeah, I have to remind myself sometimes that it's okay to ask someone for help.
Right. It's cool. That's a good one. I defaulted on this one to Harry Potter because honestly I wasn't really sure. I wasn't sure what to choose because I mean every book that I've read has had an impact in one way or another. Whether that's like, oh, I really like this genre, oh, I really don't. Like, oh, I can take this out of this book, you know. So I think I get something out of every book I've read. But I said Harry Potter just because there's this whole other world that you can kind of disappear into. And it's really comforting to be able to just kind of pretend like you're a part of this other world for a while.
Yeah.
So I said Harry Potter.
All right, next is Nidoran. Nidoran?
Yep. I don't know. I'm not even
Maybe
sure.
we should have looked up how to pronounce these.
Pokemon pronunciation.
And this is a female who is large and blue and a male who is small and pink/purple.
This is, what is a book that challenges character tropes?
This is actually a short story, but I chose Blood Child by Octavia Butler, which I don't know if this counts as a trope, but it does definitely challenge gender roles because in this story, males they don't really bear children, but they carry children. They act as hosts for these aliens. The male humans act as hosts for alien babies. And so
they carry forth.
And so the males carry the babies.
Right.
And then they die.
All right. Well, that's fun.
Yeah,
so there you
that's
go.
what I chose.
Yeah. I chose The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I know that I won't shut up about this book. But the character Sissix in that novel is from a very sexual race or species. And that's just kind of like they're very affectionate and intimate, and so like coupling isn't, you know, the same as what it would be for other species. And so yeah, she challenges maybe some traditional character types or gender roles. So
All right. Next is Bulbasaur. When this dinosaur-like Pokemon is feeling a bit lethargic, the bulb on its back releases energy into it.
what book got you out of a reading slump?
And I picked Harry Potter.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember I had a pretty long reading slump after college, and I just bought all the Harry Potter books at once on a whim, and read them all, just flew through
Rapidly.
them. So, yeah.
Harry Potter. Sidebar, I want a bulb on my back that gives me energy.
know, that'd be
when I
great.
need it. I said Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I think I read these while I was still in college, and I had a really bad reading slump during and after college, like I think a lot of people do. And I think these were some of the only books I read like for fun when I was in college. I read this first one and got really, really into it, and so read all the rest of them.
I still haven't read those.
They are soul-crushing.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, they're fun, but yeah, they're soul-crushing.
Fun, but soul-crushing.
Right. There's a little bit of everything in there.
Sounds like a typical Saturday night for me.
Just a regular old weekend.
Alright, next is Pikachu, a fragile cutie that packs a powerful and unexpected punch.
What's a romance book you've read that has a crazy twist?
I haven't read a romance. Well, I guess I read one a month or two ago, but it didn't have a twist in it really. But before that, I hadn't read a romance novel probably since I was like a teenager.
Wow.
When I read a lot of them. Because I was a horny virgin with no internet access.
Wah, wah.
And they were my porn.
Well, I mean, there you go. You're reading. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But one of the few that I read that I actually remember the plot of is called When Lightning Strikes, and it's by Kristen Hanna. And I mean, it didn't really have that much of a plot twist, but it is kind of a, it's about a woman who writes, she writes books about like they're westerns.
Okay.
I'm fucking this up already. It's about a woman who writes westerns, and then one day there's a lightning storm while she's writing, and she gets transported to this world of her books, and it turns out that this was actually like her past life. So
Okay.
that's kind of a twist. Also, the person who you think is the hero isn't the hero.
Interesting. So that's twisty.
Yeah.
A little twisty.
Yeah.
Pretty good one. I didn't have a pick for this. I don't read romance novels. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever read like a straight up romance novel. I think I read A Walk to Remember. Like when I was
That doesn't count.
when I was young. I think it was in high school, or I was young when I read it, and there was no twist there. It was pretty much your typical Nicholas Sparks.
Spoiler alert. She dies.
White people in love. Oh, white people die. The end. Like, ugh. I
Yeah.
read this article online, I think today, and it was like 10 Nicholas Sparks novels ranked in the order of their ridiculousness. And it was pretty interesting.
I remember the first Nicholas Sparks adapted movie that I ever saw, and it pissed me off to no end.
Which one was it?
It was Message in a Bottle.
Oh, that was one of the more ridiculous ones on the list.
It
Yeah.
pissed me off so much when I watched it, because it literally is like, things are gonna be great, and then he just dies. Like, wasn't even ill, it just, he like had I think his boat sinks on his way to her, and he dies, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Really? No, Nicholas Sparks definitely has a formula, and he sticks to it. It just does it over and over and over again, and for some reason, people keep buying his books. Because I think it's that whole thing where people equate an emotional response with a good book.
Good book.
And it's
No,
not.
that's true.
Just because you have an emotional response to a book doesn't make it a good one. Truth.
All right, next is Charmander, an emotionally driven fireball.
A book that gave you all the feels at once. And I think we chose the same book for this.
I mean, we talk about this one constantly, but I tried really hard to think of another book because I was like, I can't talk about the Shock of the Fall again.
Right?
But I just couldn't think of another one.
No, I couldn't think
This
of
one was just heartbreaking.
It was. And I couldn't think of another book I've read recently that gave me like the magnitude of feels that one
Yeah,
did.
I couldn't either.
And I think that was actually a good book.
Yeah.
Like, because there were no cheap tricks to elicit an emotional response. It was all...
And it ended on like a hopeful, nice
It did.
note.
It did.
Too. It wasn't just like tragic.
Right.
It was
And I feel like the hopeful note was appropriate.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was hopeful but realistic.
Yes.
Alright, and then last we have Eevee. No matter what anyone thinks of these cuties, they can evolve and devolve whenever they wish and be ready to take on anything.
What is a book that you like that has had mixed reviews?
I chose the book Shop Girl by Steve Martin. I loved this book. I haven't read it in a while. I've read it a few times. It's, it's a little novella. But I loved it when I read it. It's about a girl who is kind of she's in a bit of a rut. Like, she's an artist, but she's not really, her career is not doing anything. She's working as a shop girl. And then she meets this rich older man and starts a, like, casual relationship with him. But then, of course, she gets more emotionally invested than he does. But, Yeah, this had kind of mixed reviews on Goodreads. Some people hated it, I guess. I liked it a lot. I thought that, I think that I related to the main character a lot, not because I've ever been in a relationship with a much older man. I mean, I guess I'm in a relationship with an older man now, but he's not, like, this guy was quite a bit older than
Right.
me.
I don't think Jeremiah counts as being much older.
He's not old enough to be my father.
Right. He's just older.
But, anyway, I have experienced the, like, having more feelings for someone than they have for you thing. And so at the time that I read this, I definitely related to her a lot.
Yeah.
But I just really liked the characters a lot. There's also a character who's a guy who she goes on a date with him and he's just like a mess. And then he ends up taking a job as a roadie with this band, and he listens to self-help tapes on the tour bus.
Okay.
And then, like, totally gets his shit together and is like, great. Yeah, so
That's pretty funny.
But, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's really cool. No, I think that, like, everyone can relate to the having more feelings for someone at some point, and I think everyone can relate to being in kind of a rut, you know, and maybe working a job where you don't want to be.
Yeah, and I think I was doing both of those things at the time.
That's fair.
That I read this, so I was like, Steve Martin just gets me.
Steve Martin gets me. He knows everything. Everything. I said Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, and I've talked about this series. I've done a review of each book in this series. This got mixed reviews. A lot of people found it really frustrating, which I can understand why. This book is kind of a labyrinth. Like, there's no real answers, and it's just really weird. And not really a spoiler, but the ending of the series is kind of like that. Like, you don't really necessarily get all the answers you might want. And it's kind of not as satisfying as I wanted it to be. So if you're reading this series because I talked about it, I apologize. Maybe. I might apologize, depending on how you feel about the ending.
Yeah.
So.
Alright, so that was the Pokemon Go book tag.
Pokemon Go tag.
I gotta be honest, Pokemon Go looks pretty fun.
You think so?
I think it looks fun, but I probably won't play it because, one, I probably don't have enough storage space on my phone for it. Two, I have a shared plan, and I don't think my sisters and my mom would appreciate me using up all the data.
Sucking up all the data.
Also, I don't like having my location on.
I
don't know why.
No, I don't like it either.
I'm like, I don't want people to know where I am.
It freaks me out. Even if I turn it on to use, like, the Google Maps or whatever on my phone.
I know, I turn it off.
Like,
I turn it off immediately.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, no, Google doesn't need to know where I am.
Yeah, it weirds me out.
Yeah. Not that I'm ever anywhere important.
I
But
know.
still, like, I don't. Fuck, I don't want Google to know I'm at Walmart.
I know.
Done. Nosy ass Google.
So this beer.
This beer.
Bean Flicker.
Bean
Know what I'm saying?
Flicker.
Know what I'm saying?
You better flick it.
This is a blonde ale with coffee.
Oh, and I didn't even read the description on the front. Satisfying stimulation of sessionable self-exploration.
Ooh, flicking their own bean here.
They're flicking their own beans. Nothing wrong with that. You flick that bean.
Yeah. This is okay.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
I don't love it either. It's really heavy on the coffee. Like, it's a very...
Yeah, it's pretty coffee-y. And mine was just foaming out all over the place. It was flicking its own bean in there.
Got too excited. Got too excited about the bean flicking. The bug just flew.
The bug was getting excited too. Is it still there?
It's in my hair, maybe. Sit in there.
I don't see anything.
It wanted to be inside of my mouth. Not that kind of girl. Just met you. Anyway, this beer's okay.
Yeah, it's meh.
Meh.
It's meh.
It's
Oh,
meh.
there it is. The bug.
You motherfucker. Careful, he's fresh.
Get away.
Bye.
Alright.
Alright.
So, that's gonna be it for us.
Yep.
Should we tag anyone?
I was just gonna ask you that. Do you want to tag anyone?
Who do we know anyone who's talked about Pokemon? Who likes Pokemon?
Any of you guys playing Pokemon Go? Anyone?
You guys playing that Pokemon Go?
Playing it? I ain't playing it. I ain't got enough data on my plan.
I don't know.
And
let's tag. How about Camille?
yeah, let's tag Camille if you haven't
Yeah.
already been tagged in this.
Tag Camille from the Chameleon.
Yeah.
Who else? Who's someone we haven't tagged in a while?
Let's see.
I don't know.
What's the I don't know, like the book bat or the bookie babe? Do they do the Pokemon Go thing? They're young.
I feel like Ben might have tagged one of them, but if you guys haven't been tagged, then we tag you.
Yeah.
The Bookie Babe and the Book Bat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's do
that's
that.
good.
That's good. That's funny, folks. And also, if you guys are watching this and you play Pokemon Go, then if you want to do this tag, do it.
Yeah. Go for it.
Do it.
All right. So, thanks everyone for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, then
Do it.
think about it.
Just do it. Don't even think about it. Just do
Don't
it.
think about it.
Don't think about it. Just do it.
Just do it.
As per usual, we will post some links below where you can find us elsewhere on social media. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.